Hallway cash crisis worse. Talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important banks. They removed the one factor into the thing where they're called monetary indebtedness.
Hey there, hope all is well. Back here today with some RTD News updates. And so I had to get this story out because it's one of those things where I just touched on it last week and it looked like it's official that the equity fund out in the UK will be shut down due to the fact that there's no way of resolving the issues that they are having, given the fact that they've packaged up millions, if not probably billions of products. And so it looks like there's no way of winding things down. There'll be no way of reopening to get back their funds. And so it looks like as of today, it is official that the equity fund will be shut down. So I want to dive into the story briefly, but as always,
the next recession.
Recession will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months.
A crash is coming. Now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
If you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.
So here's a story here out of BBC News. I want to thank the UK viewer that shared this article with me. And so it's one of the things that's very timely as always, that as things begin to crumble, growth begins to slow down. There is a big push now for people to secure or to check on what they think is labeled as secure as far as their portfolios or whatnot. And so here's a primary example of what is going on. And so not only did I talk about something yesterday out in Korea, but it looks like the UK situation is coming to an end, but it will not be pretty for probably thousands, if not millions of investors that will more than likely take a major haircut when it comes back to getting what they put into those funds. But I'll thumb through this, and more importantly, scroll below for this article to read more for yourself. And so here we have Neil Woodford's flagship fund to be shut down. This was as of 3 hours ago, so it's fresh this morning. It says Mr. Woodford has also been removed as investment manager of the fund, which will be renamed. So as always, you fire the guy who started, repackage it, try to spin it off with a positive note, give it a new name, but will that work? He has criticized the decision made by the fund's administrators, claiming it is not in the long-term interest of the investors. Those investors will not get any money back until mid-January at the earliest, owing to financial rules. It says withdrawals from the Woodford Equity Income Fund has been frozen since early June after rising numbers of investors asked for their money to be returned. So here we have a small group of people who asked for their funds back, but yet that wasn't possible. And so as news traveled that those small investors couldn't get their funds back, more people began questioning. And so this is a great example that we all can learn from, because we see examples like this over in the UK area. And so those events, in my opinion, are not just isolated events. I'd imagine when it comes time to getting back what you put in, there will be no way of liquidating enough of those products that they spun off in a form, in a fashion that could get you your funds back. So something worth considering. So give an idea. It says, what is the Woodford Fund? A stock picker or fund manager analyze the potential of different stocks to try to decide whether or not they will make a good investment. Mr. Woodford is unusual in that he is as close to a household name as possible in the world of investing. So here we have a gentleman that is world renowned for what he has been able to do as far as in prior years return people's funds with a little bit of growth on top of it. But I'd imagine that he's been put under this type of strain, not because his strategies have changed, but more so because the environment around him has changed to where he's been pretty much forced to go into more riskier things in hopes of returning some gains for his clients. And so it looks like, due to monetary policy and fiscal policy colliding, like I've always talked about, it's starting to backfire on conventional financial products. Nevertheless, hedge fund managers and money managers that are responsible for making some returns. It says investors ranging from big institutions such as pension funds to ordinary people with some cash set aside put money into his UK equity fund. At its peak, the fund had more than 10 billion pounds of people's money in it. However, the performance of the fund was hit, followed by an exit of investors, with the fund's current value now at 3.1 billion pounds. So here's an interesting subject here. How much will investors get back? And that is a primary story that I'm here to talk about. It says that is impossible to tell at the moment. The amount depends on how much is raised from the sale of the fund's assets. And so once again, the fund's assets, I don't know the full allocation of the portfolio that he has people in, but I would imagine if a good portion of those more recent investments were probably riskier junk style products, I'm not sure how much they'll be worth and who will be willing to take those type of products on their books and in exchange for fresh capital to liquidate a closing fund. It says, but most investors will probably get far less than they had once hoped. So most investors will get far less than they hoped for. And so imagine having put in your life savings, or like in most cases when it comes to the pension funds, have dedicated 30, 40 years of your entire working life, and then the company that you work for put your funds into this gentleman's hands. And not to say it's his fault directly, as I mentioned earlier, it's more so due to the economic and monetary environment we're in, which is the cause of this, I believe, among a lot more. But yeah, it's one of the things where people dedicated their whole lives in expectation of getting something back, and we're seeing that this might not be the case. It says, what does Mr. Woodford and investors think of the decision? It says, Mr. Woodford, who made his name 25 years of market-beating returns with Invesco Perpetual, clearly disagreed with the move to close the fund. Quote, this was Link's decision and one I cannot accept nor believe is the long-term interest of LF Woodford Equity Income Fund investors. So once again, we got the creator of the fund not in agreement with policymakers that came to this decision here. But it's one of those things where it's unfortunate, but yet this is one story of what I believe will be many to come. And I'll wrap it up by saying here, Gus Harris Reed, 33, who has about 6,000 pounds stuck in the suspended fund, said, quote, I am not entirely surprised that this has happened. It is a lesson to investors not to put all your eggs in one basket. This could happen to anyone at any time. So there we have it. This could happen to anyone at any time, and majority of the people it's happening to had not a single clue that a trusted, regulated, certified, accredited, and financial institution such as this could have issues on this magnitude to where they would not get back their funds. And so once again, this is something we all can learn from. As I always say, if you can't hold what you think is yours or have access to it right away when you need it, the question you should ask yourself is, do you really own it, and is it really yours? And as always, this is just something that I thought was worth sharing. Leave me your thoughts down below, comment, and as more importantly, share this information with family and friends, because as a gentleman said that I closed up with, this is just not something that is an isolated event. It can happen to anyone. Therefore, if you are a participant in activities such as this, it can definitely happen to you. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment, and definitely if you're new to RTD, subscribe. I'll be sharing more of these articles as they come about, because I'm pretty confident that we're going to be getting more. So other than that, enjoy the rest of your day.